Joe Burrow hasn't been shy when asked about Jamar Chase's future or T. Higgins' future. And that was the case again on Thursday night at the Pro Bowl games. When he was asked about Jamar Chase, Joe sent a message to the Bengals front office. What Joe said and my thoughts right now on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. Hi again, everyone, and welcome in to CBT. I'm James Rapien of BengalsTalk.com. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell on YouTube, join the 52,000 plus Bengals fans that have already subscribed, and also check out Cincinnati Bengals Talk on Apple Podcast, on Amazon, on Spotify, and let's dive into this because it's no secret. Joe Burrow wants T. Higgins long-term. Joe Burrow wants Jamar Chase long-term, goes without saying. Joe Burrow has also been the most vocal he's ever been when it comes to the Bengals front office, when it comes to their offseason, when it comes to the moves that they need to make in his mind this offseason. And Thursday night was no different. It wasn't like he's had a few weeks to decompress from the season and he realizes, maybe they won't be able to keep Jamar and T and Trey. No. At the Pro Bowl games, he was asked about Jamar Chase. And instead of just making it about Jamar, he praised Jamar, said obviously he has nothing left to prove and that they should pay Jamar. But then he brought up his teammates. Here's Joe Burrow with a bold, or blunt would be the word, a blunt statement to the Bengals front office.
Yeah, everybody sees it every single week in and week out. He continues to make unbelievable plays, make people miss, score 50-plus yards, touchdowns. I mean, I don't know what more he could do to show and prove himself. You know, we have several guys like that who have stepped up for us and deserve to be paid what they're worth.
That courtesy of ESPN. And yeah, welcome to what this is and what this is going to be, where it is uncomfortable if you don't get this done. If you don't get this done, Bengals front office, it's going to be uncomfortable and maybe worse than that. And that's what Joe's warning you. That's what Joe started to say after that Dallas win where they improved to 5-8 on Monday Night Football when he said, yeah, T. Higgins, there's a plan in place. And then what happened the following week? T. Higgins switches agents. The pressure's on the Bengals front office now. It's time to get it done. And that's where Joe is at, period. I don't think there's any wiggle room from we kept Jamar, but we didn't get Trey done, or we kept T, but we weren't able to get Trey. We kept Trey, but we couldn't keep T. No. All the Duke Tobin comments, which I reacted to on Thursday, all of those things. And Joe's like, yeah, I see all of them. I see how this guy needs to take a discount or that guy needs to take a discount. Get it done. Guys that deserve it should be paid. And he's right. He's right. And the one thing I would say that I'm encouraged by, not just Joe's comments, but what Duke Tobin had to say to Kelsey Conway and to Jeff Hobson, is the fact that he knows that there's, and these are my words, not his, but some dead weight on the roster. Some guys that are going to get cut. And that'll free up extra space, extra money, extra cash to put into guys that are productive, like Trey Hendrickson, like Jamar Chase, like T. Higgins. Makes a ton of sense to me. All I know is the main reason why the Bengals fan base has been so excited over the past 4 seasons is because of number 9. The reason why it feels different, the reason why the organization feels different, the reason why it feels bigger is because of Joe Burrow. And so I'm going to make it very clear, and I've said it on Locked On Bengals, I've said it here, I've written it. The most important man in the building, I'll rephrase it, the most important person in the building is Joe Burrow. It isn't Mike Brown, it isn't the Blackburn family, and you can name any of them. It's not. It's Joe Burrow. He's more important. He's more valuable. He's the guy that you want to keep happy. And no, I'm not saying let him be GM. But you don't think he looks at that secondary that's been awful for 2 years and says, yeah, it wouldn't be like that if Jesse Bates was here? You don't think he was taking notes when in 2021, Mike Hilton was like, pay Jesse Bates? In 2022, pay Jesse Bates? And they didn't pay Jesse Bates and now he's flourishing in Atlanta? Fine. It's because of David Mulligetta and the agent, and they couldn't negotiate with him, and all of those things. Fine. Well, guess what? T. Higgins changed his agent. You've gotten 2 contracts done with Trey Hendrickson's agent. The initial 4-year deal and a 1-year extension. So Joe is watching. He's watching this. You want to be treated like a legitimate, bona fide Super Bowl contender year in and year out, one of these great franchises. Well, you got to act like it. And that means spending cash on guys that are studs that you drafted in the 2nd round or that you landed in free agency for a steal for what they ended up giving you production-wise. It to me, makes a ton of sense. Now, there's going to be some viewers and listeners that say, oh, well, Joe, you got to take a pay cut. Joe, you got to take a pay cut. You got to restructure your deal. You got to do. First things first, the Bengals have plenty of money, plenty of cash, and plenty of cap. They have nearly $48 million in cap space. That's going to jump even farther. It's going to get to around $90 million, maybe just over 90, just under 90, depending on who they decide to move on from. But it'll hover around that $90 million mark. And when you extend Jamar Chase, that cap number goes down. When you extend Trey Hendrickson, his cap number will go down because you're going to give him upfront cash. That's how the Bengals are going to want to structure it. So the cap number this year is going to go down. And they have nothing on the books in 2025 or 2026, excuse me. They have so much cap space next year that it really won't matter. And so, yeah, you could even ask Joe Burrow to restructure, which he would do. All that is moving numbers around for accounting purposes. It doesn't hurt his bottom line. I guarantee you he would do that. He didn't tell me, but I know he would. He said, hey, Joe, we're going to keep T and we're going to do this, but to feel more comfortable and to add to the team, to add the guards that you want or add the defensive tackles that you want. And by you, I mean you, the fan. We're going to have to do this. They can do all of that. They can do all of it. But this is the moment, Bengals front office. It can go down one path or another. And I've seen it before. A lot of people are going to say, oh, well, this is the Carson Palmer scenario. And I get it. I do. I get why people are saying that. I think that the 2024 Bengals felt a lot like the 2007 Bengals. And there were a lot of parallels there. Chad had a career year, TJ career year. You look at what this Bengals offense did. It was just very, very similar. It felt very eerie how similar it was. And obviously we know how that era ended. And it's one of those things where you don't want 2021 to be the high point. And if you don't want 2021 to be the high point, you better handle this right. And the way to handle it right is to modernize the way you're structuring things, to move things around the way you need to, decimal points wise, right? Like, how do the Eagles afford all these guys? Or how do all these guys? It's simple. Pay them what they're worth, do it early, and be willing to restructure when needed. It's a little bit of everything. The Bengals, they can keep these guys and also address other weaknesses, and then down the line, restructure Joe's contract and have plenty of money and plenty of flexibility and plenty of cap space. All of those things can happen. It's up to them to do it. And so there's going to be some that say, how can they do it? And the how is pretty simple. They have the cash, I promise you. That's why every seat is sponsored right now at Paycor Stadium. That's why Paycor Stadium is Paycor Stadium. Joe didn't take all of that money, I promise. And then at the same time, be willing to structure things differently if you need to. Be willing to give Jamar the guaranteed money that he wants. By the way, if you had been willing to do it last September, it would already be done. It went down to the wire, and it was really close. And then they couldn't agree on guaranteed money. That can't happen. And we reported that right here. We reported that on BengalsTalk.com and right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. So this is the moment for the Bengals front office. Will they get it done or will they not? Will they rise up? And I mean, it's a heck of a 1 through 5. Like, let's just say they draft well and they add on the fringes pretty well in free agency. If they do that and keep their core in place of a Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Trey Hendrickson, T. Higgins, Orlando Brown Jr. under contract for the next 2 years, that's a hell of a 1 through 5 when you talk about your 5 best players. And you have budding guys like Amarius Mims coming up, other free agents like that you would be bringing in that could be a big part of this team. This team could be really, really good, really, really fast. But if you lose T, or you lose Trey, or one of them's disgruntled, or Jamar is trying to get his deal, and it's this whole thing. And I think Jamar's probably the main priority as of now. It becomes a circus for no reason. And it doesn't have to. It can be cut and dry, simple. It can. Doesn't mean you have to make Trey the highest paid defensive end in the league, but it doesn't mean that you make him wait on a deal either. 3 years for Trey, 4 years for T, 4 years for Jamar. I think you could get them all done. I'm sure I'll have time to discuss structure on each one and all of those things on a future video. But overall, Joe Burrow sending a message, a blunt message, national TV. It's very, very simple here. Get the deals done. Show us who you are. That's what the Bengals front office is going to do this offseason, ladies and gentlemen. Going to show us who they are. And if they're serious, if they're all in, they want to win, they'll keep these guys. You're not going to find T. Higgins on the free agent market. You're not going to find a Trey Hendrickson on the free agent market. You have them in the building now. You're certainly not finding a Jamar Chase in most drafts or free agency. Keep them. Add around the fringes. Be better. Improve your team. We'll see if they do it. Joe Burrow certainly making it clear that that's what he wants them to do this offseason. For more, make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, check out this week's episode of Enter the Jungle, and make sure you check us out on audio as well, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Amazon as well. For Andrew Fox Miller, I'm James Rapien. Joe Burrow sent a message. We'll see how the Bengals respond. And when they do, if they do, of course, we'll have you covered right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk.